so we got to get at this pulley bridge and start taking off all this stuff on the front. So I'm going to start on this end. I got the belt off of the air conditioning compressor. I'm going to start taking out the hardware. And I got to go ahead and get this low pressure line off. And then I should be able to move this out of the way. So I'm going to keep working and start taking these brackets off. Well, I guess I'll cut the belt. Oh, there we go. It's a very logical 5/16 socket. That's what you need. All right. And here we've got the cam sprockets and the timing belt. And I don't think I actually need to remove anything else except for the belt and the cam sprocket and the valve covers. I should be able to get the camshaft straight out of the engine without pulling the heads. That was easy. Cam sprockets are off. Now I'm going to get the valve covers. Well, the valve covers, they decided to go with a Phillips head screwdriver instead of bolts. What could possibly go wrong here? All right. That one worked. Take that back. That was actually pretty easy to remove the valve covers. So now I'm just going to take out all of these 12mm bolts to get rid of the rockers and the rocker arms so there's no pressure on the valves and the springs on the camshaft. Hand tools take too long. And there's the camshaft. Still looks in decent condition. Alright, so we are getting close to the camshaft here. There are 3 bolts and there's a metal backer plate there. There's also a 17mm bolt that goes on the end of the camshaft. There's not a lot of room, so this is going to be difficult. Alright, so once you get a socket and a wrench on this back bolt, the camshaft is going to spin. So you need to have the cam sprocket on, and there's a special tool that holds the sprocket so you can hold the shaft still while loosening the bolt. Since it's a junkyard car, I'm just going to wedge a screwdriver in here and try and get it to break free. Son of a bitch. So what you saw right there was my spirit completely breaking. That was my socket coming off the end of my breaker bar and landing underneath the exhaust manifold somewhere, and I couldn't find it, so now I'm back for part 3. Got to get the back bolt off the back of the camshaft. There is a spacer disc back here that we're also going to have to remove for making sure that you got the appropriate end play. So you can see that large washer that adjusts the end play of the camshaft. There's different thicknesses of those so you can get the proper setup. So on the front of the driver's side cam is the distributor, which actually mates with the gear and the end of the camshaft, and that's why you don't have much end play even after you remove the hardware. So I'm just going to take these 3 bolts that are holding it down, get the distributor out of the way. So the 10mm wrench had great access to the hardware, and you can just lift this distributor up. You can see the gear that meshes with the camshaft, and I should be able to get it out of the head if I can clear the fan and the cross member. So there is a rubber oil seal on the front and the cylinder head. I'm gonna have to find a better way to remove this for my truck, but for the junkyard I'll just see if I can pry it out without damaging the camshaft itself. There we go. Camshaft is coming out. Moment of truth is, does it clear the cross member here? It's gonna be tight. Well, that sucks. Rust. Ugh. Camshafts, a little bit of surface rust. Scotch-Brite will take care of that, but I think I'm going to get these reground anyway so I can get a more aggressive profile, and that should clean up any of the surface imperfections on the bearings or on the lobes. So I got those Z31 cams out of the 300ZX at the junkyard. There's a little bit of surface rust on them. That's just because it took me a couple days to get them out, so they were exposed to the humidity and the elements. A couple things to note. In the casting, it does say LH and RH for left hand and right hand. The driver's side of the left hand also has this gear that is driving the distributor to drive your spark plugs. Another thing to notice is that on the back of the camshaft, this is where the backer plate was on the back of the heads by the firewall. There is this feature cast in which serves as flat, so you could actually put a wrench on it. If you remember when I took them out of the junkyard, I wedged a breaker bar kind of in at the cam sprocket end to hold it. There's actually flats here that you can grab with a wrench, so that way you don't need to wedge things in between your cam sprockets on the front end. So I'm just going to clean them up with a little bit of degreaser. I'm going to use some Ballistol multi-purpose penetrating oil. So I'm just going to spray them down and wipe them down with shop rag. You can probably use basically any type of spray cleaner, so brake cleaner, parts cleaner, or PB blaster or really anything like that. This is just surface rust. You can pretty much wipe it off of the surfaces pretty easily with just a gloved hand. So I'm not too concerned about them being unusable. So these cams cleaned up nicely. They'll be an excellent candidate for getting reground. I think my top choice right now is going to be Schneider Racing Cams, which is over in California. But by the time that I spent 50 bucks on this set from a junkyard and pay shipping to get there and back and get reground to the same profile as JWT cams from 4x4parts.com, I should only have about $300 into this project, which is less than half of the cost of these parts new.